to this week's What's for Dinner video. My name is Ashley. I'm going to be showing you 3 different meals I made this week. I don't always follow recipes exactly, but if you are interested, I've linked some similar recipes down below. The first dinner I'm going to be showing you are my famous taquitos. So I am just starting out with my Mexican rice. I'm toasting 1 cup of rice, and then I'm adding 1 teaspoon of garlic salt, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and half a teaspoon of cumin. So then I'm just going to stir that around till it's nice and fragrant, and then I'm going to add about 4 ounces of tomato sauce. And for 1 cup of rice, I like to add 2 cups of water, and then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of chicken bouillon and 1 teaspoon of tomato bouillon. I'm just going to give this a nice mix, and then I'm going to bring it up to a simmer, put the lid on it, and turn it back down. So I cooked, I think, 2 chicken breasts in my Instant Pot, and then I just shredded them up. So now to a pan, I just have a little bit of oil. I'm going to mix this all around. I'm going to add 1 cup of water and then 1 teaspoon of chicken bouillon powder. That just makes it like chicken broth. And then I'm adding a bunch of taco seasoning, onion powder, cumin, and some garlic salt. So I'm just going to mix this all together. The chicken's going to start absorbing most of that liquid and then get nice and soft. So here I am just taste testing the taquito filling. I'm going to add what other seasonings is needed, and then I'm going to add a handful of cheese. So I'm going to let the cheese melt down, and then the taquito filling will be ready. So there's a lot of different ways to warm up your tortillas before you roll them. This time I'm just trying it in a little bit of oil to make it soft. I also use the microwave. They work just fine. So I'm just going to get started rolling my taquitos. I just put a little bit of the mixture inside and roll it and place it seam side down. I don't have to use the toothpicks if I make it nice and soft and then set them seam side down. So I'm just going to roll up as many taquitos as I want, and while this is happening, I have my oil heating up. So again, I'm just going to place them seam side down in the oil, that way they fry close. When they're nice and brown on this side, I'm going to flip them. My fiance doesn't like them too crunchy, so we don't brown them too much, but when they are done, I just pick them up, drain the excess oil inside. You want to make sure you do that because it will stay too hot inside to eat, and then I will place them on a drying rack. So I'm just going to repeat the process for all my taquitos. These also freeze very well, so if you want to make a huge batch of them and then freeze them and heat them back up at a later time, they are still good. So this is how everything looked when they were done. They are super good. I just drizzled some cream, some lettuce, and some salsa. The next dinner I made some frozen meatballs, some cheesy scalloped potatoes, and some broccoli. So I'm going to start off with my potatoes. I just have some gold potatoes. I'm going to slice them super thin and put them in some cold water. I don't make scalloped potatoes very often because I feel like they take a lot of time to prepare and then cook in the oven. So it's not super ideal for just an easy weeknight dinner right after work, but they are good. So once I'm done slicing them, I'm going to get started on the sauce that goes on top. I'm just going to melt a little bit of butter and garlic in a pan to start out. And then I'm going to add some heavy whipping cream and mix it all up. Sorry, I don't have any type of measurements. So now I'm going to add in some seasonings. I'm just adding a little bit of this everything seasoning and some onion powder. I also added a little bit of pepper, and then I'm going to mix this all together and bring it up to a simmer. Once it's nice and hot, I'm going to add in some cheese. I'm just adding some white quesadilla cheese and some cheddar cheese. So I'm just going to let this thicken up and then we will be ready to assemble. So I'm going to start out with layering just a little bit of the sauce on the bottom just to make sure nothing sticks, but also to coat the bottom. And then I'm just going to start layering my potatoes. I don't have any special skills in doing this. This is just what works for me. And then I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of the cheese sauce mixture, spread that around, and sprinkle some cheese. So then I'm just going to repeat the process with layering everything. It's kind of just like a potato lasagna. This is just how it works. So then I'm going to get started on the top layer. So I'm just going to put the rest of my potatoes that will fit. I'm going to add the rest of the sauce. So I saved most of the sauce for this, and then I'm going to add some cheddar cheese on top. So then I'm just sprinkling some parsley on top. I cover this with some foil. This went in the oven at about 300-400 degrees for I think 45 minutes to an hour. Now because that took all my energy, I'm going to balance it off with just an easy side. So I am just going to make some frozen meatballs from Costco. They are my favorites. And then I'm going to work on the broccoli. I'm just drizzling some of this seasoning that we have left over. So this is how everything looked when it was done. The potatoes were so good and so worth it. The next dinner, I just decided to make some breakfast for dinner, just super easy weeknight meal. So I am just going to start off with some regular pancake mix, the one you just add water to. This was cool because I actually got the measurements perfect and I didn't measure a single thing. So I'm just going to make our pancakes like normal. I usually make bigger pancakes, but because I just wanted to put everything on one plate, we are just opting for smaller pancakes. So this is how I am just cooking my pancakes. I did put a couple chocolate chips in mine. No big deal. It was kind of hard to flip 2 small pancakes in a pan like this, but it worked out just fine. They are not the prettiest pancakes we've ever seen, but that's okay. I am just going to repeat the process with 2 more for my fiance. So in the same pan, I'm just going to work on my scrambled eggs. I'm just adding a little bit of butter inside the pan, and then I'm going to crack 4 eggs. So I'm just going to scramble the eggs in the same pan. It works perfectly fine, and then I'm going to season with some salt and then add some cheddar cheese. So I just cook my eggs on about a 4 on the stove, about medium heat, and then I just do this. I don't have a special way to make scrambled eggs. Once this was close to done, I just popped a piece of sourdough bread in the toaster oven for my fiance. And this is how everything looked when it was done. Just a super easy breakfast meal. Thank you for watching this week's What's for Dinner video. Make sure you come back next week for another one.